Hello. So anyone has a slide? Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes. Anyone has a slide?
No. Yes, please, we do have.
Yeah, we have it on our Sakai.
No.
It's on Sakai. You're saying it's on Sakai, yes. Right?
Yes.
So let me go to Sakai right now and download. I want to share.
Okay.
Bye.
Please mute yourselves.
Yes, I'll do it myself.
Okay.
So when it comes to psychology, what have you heard? The first time you got your admission letter, and on the admission letter you saw psychology. What came to mind, or what were some of the things some people told you about psychology?
Sir.
Okay.
Sir, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, when I was enrolled into the university and I was given psychology, the first thing I thought of was to study the human brain and how it works.
Okay.
So,
all right. I'm listening.
Okay, I also learned that it's the study of human behavior.
All right. So, Enoch, your hand is up.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay. I will start from when I heard. Yes, please, sir, I'm talking.
Okay.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Enoch.
All right, please. Normally when friends.
Hello, Enoch.
Okay.
Enoch.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I think the next person whose hand was up was Joseph Apia. Joseph. All right. So the next person is Gabriel.
Hello.
Yep, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Gabriel.
Yeah, when I heard it was psychology, what came into my mind is I was going to read people's mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jocelyn, your hand is up.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yep, hello.
When I heard of psychology, I was thinking of going to study, or I'm supposed to study how human being behaves in the society. That's what I know about psychology.
Hello.
All right, so let me try and mute all of you because I'm getting a lot of feedback. So
hello.
Please try and mute yourself, or I'll try and mute all of you. Then the next person I call will just answer. So I'm trying to see.
Say it's better you mute all of us.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
All of us. But some of us are using an earpiece, and anytime they make any noise in the background, it hurts our ears. So please mute all of us. If someone says they want to talk, so that you unmute the person, please, because the noise in the background is too much.
Sorry about that. I'll do that. I'm trying to get mute all. Okay. All right. So the next person is Abraham. So Abraham, unmute and speak.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, what I know about psychology is a field of science that studies the behaviors of organisms.
Okay, fields of science that studies the behaviors of organisms. Nice. So I think if let's keep our hands down for the meantime, because if I continue, then it means that the class it wouldn't end today. So it seems most of you, whatever you said is right. And per the definitions that you give, one key thing about psychology is that we have different definitions by several people. But among all the definitions that you come across in books, you can see that they have similar concepts. The first thing is they make sure that there are certain terms that runs through all the definitions. There are certain terms that runs through them. And that's one thing you're supposed to what? Get to know. So in most situations, they make sure that the science is part in the definition. They will call it, it is the scientific study. So that's the first thing you should take note of. Anytime you are defining psychology, you should make sure that you include the term scientific study. Then you should also include something known as human behavior, or let's say behavior in general. You should include behavior in your definition. And sometimes others include mental processes. So when you are able to capture these concepts, irrespective of the way you formulate your sentence or construct your sentence, we will make sure that you'll be marked what? Correctly, because it captures the concepts that we are looking out for. So Kuhn, for instance, defined psychology as it is the scientific study of human behavior and other lower organisms. Other books, they will define it as the scientific study of what? Of behavior and mental processes of humans and animals, which means the same thing. Because these two definitions I just indicated, you can see it captures the concept I indicated earlier. So when it captures it like that, then you are good to go. And one thing, so in case you have any question or whatsoever, you can just raise up your hand. Then afterwards, intermittently, I would give you opportunity to ask your questions or suggestions. So the next thing is psychology. So we need to know the root meaning of psychology. So within your slides, they are saying psychology is it came from two Greek words, psych and logos. Psych and logos. And psych means mind or soul. Logos means knowledge. So when you combine the two, okay, it is more or less like we are saying knowledge of what? Of the mind, or study of the mind, or study of the soul. It means the same thing. So we've combined these two things, psych and logos. Psych is what? Mind or soul. Logos is knowledge or study of something. So when you combine them, it means it is the study of what? Of the mind or soul, or the knowledge of the mind or soul. All right, so the thing is, we just unmuted. All right. So as I rightly indicated, you can see that the next slide, we have different definitions. And these definitions, they have certain features in common. They make sure that they include...
Sir.
Yes, Gabriel.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Gabriel.
Please, I wanted to ask about something, the definition of psychology. You said it's a scientific study of behavior and mental processes of human and animals. But like, I wanted to ask if somebody should add something like, is a scientific and a systematic study, would that also be correct? For
the moment you say, so we'll come to that. The moment you indicate scientific, it captures what you just indicated. You're saying it is systematic. Because anything which is scientific, it means that it goes through some steps, or we have systematic ways of doing it.
Okay.
So it captures what you just indicated. Okay, Mensa, go ahead, unmute yourself and speak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Please, I just want to ask permission to record the discussion.
Yes, I am recording. So afterwards, I'll forward it to you through Sakai. And I would, the course rep, if the person is in this class, he or she should private message me. I'll forward my contact to him or her. Then we can have discussions on that. I hope you've created a WhatsApp platform, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the course rep the person could even add me to the page so that whatever information I have, I can directly forward it to the class. So the person can private message me. All right. Okay, so the thing is, we are supposed to understand the concept that I was talking about. You remember I said whatever definition we give for psychology, there are certain concepts. So these concepts, we need to delve deep into it. So please unmute yourself. The person who just please mute yourself. The person who just unmuted. So the first one is science or scientific study. What does it mean for us to say that psychology is a science? So as I previously indicated, we normally say that it is a science because no matter what, it follows some systematic ways of doing things. Frederick, please. So in books, they normally give certain information that makes psychology a science. I don't know whether this slide captures it. Look, it doesn't capture. So we normally say that for us to say that psychology is a science, it follows some 4 steps. Let me try and see if I can get that one and share it to you, which will help. It's not part of your slides, but sometimes some of your lecturers, they bring it during the examination. So let me fetch for it and project it to you. Okay, so where is it? Yes. So these are the key features of any scientific study. So sometimes a question could be posed. They can make it direct. What are the features of any scientific study or characteristics of a scientific study? Or sometimes they can just state what makes psychology a science. So when you see a question like that, then it means that they want you to talk about these things. They are 4 in all. What makes psychology a science? So we normally say that when it comes to any scientific study, one feature is that there is an empirical backing or evidence. I don't know. Okay, so empirical backing or evidence. So when it says, when someone says, oh, I have evidence, please, what comes to mind?
Sir.
He's having a proof.
You have a proof. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Joseph, your hand is up.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, hello, Joseph. Go ahead.
Yeah, it means the person has a substantial fact or proof.
Okay. Good. So let me pose this. In case maybe you want to find out if so please, I just needed one or two people to raise up their hand. So I think it's okay. So in case you want to find out whether someone is depressed, or let me use the term sad, what are some of the key features that makes you have a lot of evidence to prove that, oh, this person is sad? Okay, who's that's Bachman. You're the first person to raise up your hand.
Yeah, please, I wanted to ask that the slides that we have on Sakai, are we going strictly about those definitions and all the materials that we have there?
The thing is, these slides are more or less like guide, okay? So
okay,
you can read, you can read wide. Just focus on what? On the subheadings. So maybe we'll be talking about one psychology or science, read about them. But you shouldn't strictly follow what is in the slides. You can just use your own words to explain them. You shouldn't chew and pour everything.
Okay.
Read wide, whatever information that you get and it's similar, you stick to it.
Okay.
Okay, so Joseph, my question is, in situations whereby someone is depressed, what evidence, or if someone is sad, what are the evidence to prove that, hey, this person is depressed?
Well, first of all, I think you have to find out what the person is going through first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sit down with a person and try to find out what really caused the depression.
Okay. So
Yes.
in the first, okay, that's very good. So before you even do that, you have one-on-one discussion with a person.
Yes.
What will make you know that, okay, this person is depressed?
I think based on the information he gave you,
so
that will determine, yeah.
Okay, that's another way of you finding out. What other way can you also find out that, okay, this person is depressed, by not interviewing the person or having one-on-one discussion with the person?
The mood of the person.
Come again?
The mood of the person.
So the mood of the person. So how do you find the mood? It means you observe, right?
Yes.
The person's behavior and change of attitude.
Okay.
The person's demeanor.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
the
you.
person demeanor. You said it.
Facial.
So yeah, you're all right. So it means that for you to check the person's demeanor, the mood, and so on, it all boils down to what? You observation. So it means for you to gather any evidence, first, you should use what? Observations. So you will realize that, oh, the person is depressed. The person is depressed, fine. And for you to know that the person is depressed, it means that, oh, some people, whenever they are depressed, that will be the time. It's not always. That will be the time you see them wearing maybe shady clothes, or they don't want to wear clothes that would brighten them. Okay. Sometimes too, what happens is that, oh, you could see that their mood is very, very down. They don't want to engage in any sort of activities. So some people at that time, you could see that would be the time sometimes they will sleep a lot, or they wouldn't sleep at all, or they wouldn't eat. So all these things will give you clues that, oh, this person, something is wrong with him, because he's not like that. So that will be a clue. Then afterwards, what would you do? You would then go to the person and find out, oh, Charlie, of late, it seems your behavior has changed. What is wrong with you? So you having the one-on-one discussion with the person is what is referred to as interview. You're trying to have that sort of one-on-one discussion with the person to find out or to confirm as to whether your observation is what is right or wrong. Okay, a lot of hands up. Gifty Esinam.
Yes.
Your hand is up. Do you have any question or whatsoever?
I've already answered.
Okay, so I'm lowering all of you your hand down so that we can continue on. Okay, so the first, as I said, first you observe, then the next thing for you to do is to do interviews. So these are the things you are supposed to know. Then last thing, you could see that within the slide I just projected, we have something known as psychological tests. So I don't want to bore you with a lot of information. One thing is, after you've observed and interviewed, the last thing for you to do to get what a conclusive evidence that, hey, Charlie, this person is depressed, is to measure depression. And psychologists, we have a way of what? Of measuring all the psychological tools we use. You know, me saying, oh, measuring depression, it might sound quite abstract to you. You might be thinking, so how do you measure depression? Because the moment I say, oh, what's your weight, what's your height, you can easily tell me, but with depression, it becomes difficult. But we have ways and means of doing it. So you can just type psychological test, maybe during your spare time, and on your search engine, internet search engine, it will give you a lot of psychological tests. Or you can type depression test or inventory. You will get a lot of depression tests. So these are the things we normally use to test or find out whether someone is depressed and so on, or anxious or aggressive and all that. So please, any questions so far? If you have a question, there's a time to raise up your hand. Okay, Amira, I'll take the first 3 people, then that's it.
Okay, so please, it's like your microphone is a bit far. I don't know whether if you're far from it. Like the sound is not all that okay, but I've increased my volume, but I'm still having that difficulty.
Oh, okay. So I'll try and work on that. Okay, Joseph.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. In the observation of determining whether a person has depression, don't you think that using mood to determine if the person has depression, it's not really an advisable choice, because there are some people who are naturally like always moody. Like, I don't know how to put it, but I think that's the best way I can put it.
Good. I like that. So the thing is, first, observation, that's what I'm saying. You don't just use only one method to do your conclusions or to do your investigations. You must use all the 3. So first you observe, you realize that, oh, this person's behavior has changed. Because something, I think most of you are doing something known as critical thinking, because something known as fallacy of hasty generalization.
Yeah.
If you rely on only one, 2, you might hastily conclude. And those conclusions might be wrong. So that's why first you're supposed to do observation. That will give you some clues. Then afterwards, you go to the person and have one-on-one discussion to see if truly something is really wrong. So after the person has confirmed to you that, oh yes, of late I don't feel really well because of A, B, C, and D. Maybe I had a relationship issue. So due to that, I can't really sleep a lot, or I can't eat a lot sometimes, I sometimes cry and all that. Then that should give you a clue that, then something is really wrong. The person might be depressed. Even with that, you don't conclude, you're supposed to do a final thing. That is, you are administering or giving the person a psychological test to fill. Then the psychological test will let us know whether truly the person is depressed or not. So these are the ways you could see that all these things are systematic. They are step-by-step approach. Okay, so the last
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Bachman.
Yeah, please. I wanted to ask that the methods of testing, is it very practical or?
When you say the methods of testing, I don't really get your question.
The earlier discussion that we had concerning the ways you can test, I mean, the looking at the mood of the person through the observation and then the interview. I mean, the last point, is it practical? Because we can see that
as a psychological testing.
Yes. Is it very practical or?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to bore you with a lot of information. So during your spare time, you can just you're using phones and all that. So you can just type depression test or depression inventory. It will give you a whole lot of tests. Go through them. So there are series of questions you ask the person to take. Then afterwards, the psychologist would then grade.
Okay.
Or rate the scores. Then out of the scores, it will help us know whether the person is depressed or even the person is experiencing mild depression or severe depression. All these things will let us know. We have a way of interpreting. Okay. And these things are really, really reliable because it has tested serious records of time. So it's not just any statements that they ask. All right. So I think the last question I'll take is Harden. You'll be the last person I would take your question.
Yeah, it's okay.
Welcome. So please go ahead.
Yeah, can you drop your number in the chat?
Can you do what?
Can you drop your number in the chat?
I just want the course rep. I want to forward my contact to the course rep. So is the course rep available?
Yes, please.
I don't know.
That's okay. The person who responded is
no course rep.
Yes, please. Say, please, I sent them the price.
If you are hold on, my question is to get the
you don't have a course rep yet?
Yeah, no,
we don't.
Today is the first time we are meeting.
Yeah,
I thought you said you have a WhatsApp platform.
We have a course rep.
So we have a WhatsApp platform.
Okay,
I put the link in you.
So, Mommy, I just forwarded my contact to you. You can add me to the WhatsApp platform.
Yes, please.
All right.
Are you sure you added everybody to the WhatsApp platform?
Please,
I put the link, so you have to join the link.
Please
put
the link back again.
Share the link on the chat column for us.
Can I say please?
So please, I'm muting all of you.
Okay.
Okay. So that'll be all when it comes to empirical evidence. So the next thing is replicability. So this comes from the word replicate. So when we say to replicate something, please, what comes to mind? Replicate. To replicate.
A similar version of that, the original version.
Yeah.
Hello.
So it means that with replicability, we want to make sure that whatever study that we are doing. Oh, please mute yourself. So please, Zoom just alerted me that we have 10 minutes. You know, Zoom, every 40 minutes, a cut. So in case a cut, use the same link to join. Please, I'm repeating, in case it goes off, use the same link to join. Okay, Mami, your hand is up.
Okay.
Mami Adjoa Santua, your hand is up.
Please, I was telling you I was giving you the information that I had already texted you.
Okay, okay. Then Samsung, your hand is also up. All right.
Replication.
All right, so I'm muting all of you since Samsung doesn't have any question. So when it comes to replicability, I'm saying that in most situations, we want to make sure that whatever information or study that we are doing, we want to make sure that we repeat it. We want to make sure we can repeat those studies. So in order to repeat such studies, we indicate the procedures we went through to conduct that study, so that anyone or any external person who wants to replicate or who wants to repeat our work could follow those procedures and arrive at similar conclusions or results. So let's say I want to conduct a study among level 100 students to find out examination anxiety. And I know you know what examination anxiety is. During the examination period, you could see that a lot of students, they are anxious. They don't know what to do. So I just want to study that. So what would I do with the procedures? I need to indicate to the research community that, oh, I use which people? Distance, University of Ghana distance education students. And how many students did I use? I need to also indicate, maybe 200. So me indicating all these things, or even the type of tools I use, the type of psychological test or instrument I use to measure anxiety, I need to also what? Indicate. So that at the end of my study, I got to know that, okay, maybe at the end of my study, I got to know that, oh, University of Ghana distance students, they are very anxious. Always when examination is approaching. Then, so that's the results I've gotten. It means that if anyone wants to repeat that sort of study, the person can just go through my procedures. Oh, this researcher, what he did was that, oh, he used distance students, how many? 200. Okay, he used this skill or psychological test to measure anxiety. So they would also follow the same format and see as to whether they would get what? Similar results. So when they are able to follow these steps and get similar results, then we are saying, okay, there's that sort of what? Replicability, because you're giving room for other researchers to repeat your studies by indicating your procedures, how you went about to conduct your study and all that. You've been able to give detailed information about it. So Mabel, Adepa, your hand is up. All right.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Mabel.
I'm sorry for the interruption, but I would want to draw attention to the fact that there are so many WhatsApp groups out there right now. When it comes to the psychology, that's the program we are offering.
There are so many ones. Oh, please. Let me unmute all of you. So Mabel. Okay, so Mabel, I've unmuted you. You can speak.
Please, I want to draw attention to the fact that there are so many WhatsApp groups out there right now when it comes to the various courses. So in case you have to send your number to Amira, it could be that I wouldn't be in that WhatsApp group and it's going to be as a loss to me.
Okay, so you have different, if I get you have different WhatsApp platforms.
Yes, please.
Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll forward my contact to everyone, okay? All right, so I just did that. So let me continue on. That's all when it comes to replicability. So you are spelling out or indicating the procedures you went about to conduct your study so that anyone could repeat your results or your study and come up with similar findings. Then the next thing is quantifiability. You remember I asked you that, okay, the moment I say this, what's your height? What's your weight? Most of you can tell me. But in situations whereby I say, oh, what's your anxiety level? What's your depression level? You be confused. Why should you ask me even this question? But you should know that so long as you are human, you have some levels of anxiety and depression in you. So as you move along, level 3, you do something known as abnormal psychology, and you would appreciate it better. It means that all of us have some levels of these psychological constructs in us. But if it becomes overwhelming or if it becomes too much in us, then it becomes difficult for us to take, thereby leading to a whole lot of psychological problems. So it means psychologists have devised ways and means to measure each and every person's depression, anxiety, aggression, and all the psychological constructs you know of. They have devised ways and means of doing that. So that if someone is depressed, we can say, oh, per the test that we use, the psychological test that we use, this person has maybe 20 levels of depression in him or her. Therefore, the person is severely depressed. So as I said earlier on, this quantifiability aspect boils down to the use of psychological tests. So you can just search for yourself on the internet. You get a lot of psychological tests. All right. Then the last one I'll be discussing is generalizability. Generalizability. So with generalizability, the essence is that whatever findings that you get, we want to make sure that those findings, you can easily extend it to a large number of people. So for instance, let me use the same study that I stated earlier, whereby I said, oh, I wanted to test to find out whether, distance students, that's University of Ghana's distance students, they have examination anxiety. So at the end of the study, I was able to get information that, oh, truly, distance students, they are always anxious when it's time for exams. That's the finding that I have had. How can you extend this finding to the entire distance student? Or what made you to extend this finding to the entire distance student? It all boils down to the total number of people you use in your study. We call it sample size. Please, I have less than a minute. So in case it goes off, use the same link I forwarded to you on Sakai platform to join. So it all boils down to sample size. So you know that when it comes to distance students, you're a lot. Let me assume, I think you might be around 4,000 or so, 4,000 or 5,000. And here comes the case, we are just using 100. So you need to ask yourself,